And we're back for part 2. So we just did the second reading and now we do a second musical selection. This is one that you probably know. I just downloaded it and this is called I Can See Clearly Now, and I chose this one because the theme today is light. And we know when we clear all the crud, we have light. When we do forgiveness work and we clear out all the icky feelings, we have light. So this is I Can See Clearly by Johnny Nash. If you know it, sing it. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is a rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue skies. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Sing! It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Let's do that a few times. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's going to be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. You know, I have to tell you that, you know, that the last thing that I pick are the songs, and sometimes it's like a half an hour before I go, oh, that would be perfect. Anyhow, so our topic about light. Don't bury your light in darkness. I wanted to go to the second reading from the Bible. I'm just going to read a little bit of it again because there's some really important things in here. Mostly, if you've heard this Bible story, and a lot of people have heard this Bible story, it's a more common one, and it's mainly notable because of Jesus saying, "He who is without sin, may he cast the first stone," at this woman who committed adultery. There's some parts of the world where that still happens, so we need to pray for the women in countries where this still happens. So most people remember that, you know, Jesus said that, and that they started one by one to walk away when he said, if you're without sin, cast a stone, and they walked away because nobody is perfect, and we all, you know, we missed the mark. Sin means missed the mark. It's an archery term. Interesting to me, when I read this story again, and I just love rereading, stories in sacred scripture, which is why I started Church of Spirituality. It's as much for me as for you. So Jesus knew that the Pharisees were trapping him. They were trying to trick him into condemning this woman. Because I'm sure, Jesus was out there preaching, kind of like the sort of softness of kindness and taking care of our brothers and sisters and being love and being light. That's what Jesus was teaching. So that's why they were trying to catch him, like, oh, let's see if he'll condemn somebody. And he refused. And in fact, not only did he refuse, he saw what they were up to, so when they started to do that, he bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger, which is an odd kind of little part of the story. So it stood out for me this time in reading. I had kind of forgotten that part, that he stooped down and he started writing on the ground with his finger. And, we might wonder, like, what was he writing, or why did he do that? And I have a sense that this story is illustrating Jesus' need to keep himself kind of like not giving power to the Pharisees, who were being very dark, and like the darkness does, it tries to pull you in to negative feelings. That's why when we talk about forgiveness, I emphasize every single time, it's just a hard thing for humans to get. I know it. That we're not forgiving because we're condoning the behavior. We're keeping ourselves in a state of peace with all. So they were trying to lure him into anger and being accusing, and he wasn't having it. And his stooping down and, just drawing in the sand or the dirt was his way of saying, I'm disinterested in this game of luring me into darkness, luring me into being an accuser, luring me into seeing this woman as anything less than a child of God and a human who deserves our respect and our love. So let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. He said, upon, coming up from his stooping down. After he said that, again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. So Jesus is distracting himself from the negativity. And as if to say, you may have heard the saying that I think is a really helpful thing for people to use, is like, what you think of me when you have conflict with somebody, and when somebody's really being attacking, we're humans, we're imperfect, we all do this, right? Or we're subjected to this. What you think of me is none of my business. So I kind of have this sense about the energy of Jesus at that time as he's stooping down and kind of ignoring the Pharisees. Like, I'm not buying it. I'm not coming into your trap. And he's doing this as if to say, what I think of her or what you think of her is none of my business. Because Jesus was in the business of seeing our light, of knowing our light, of knowing our connection to the divine Father, Mother, God that is our birthright. We come from God, and Jesus is here to teach us that and to let us know that he wasn't the only Son of God. We are all sons and daughters of the Most High. So he wasn't willing to fall into the Pharisees' trap of doing a power trip and accusing this woman of doing wrong. In that society, adultery was wrong, and a woman was going to be stoned if she was caught in the act of adultery, and who knows, somebody could have set her up Jesus wasn't having it. Jesus was completely committed to seeing the light and the divinity in each and every human being. And that's what made him the Most High. That's what made him be the great example of being beyond human, superhuman. Like Sadhguru says, be superhuman, be beyond human, be super, or, the supernatural. Supernatural refers to being beyond the natural world, beyond this physical existence. So, the theme for today, don't bury your light in the darkness, is beautifully illustrated in this story, because Jesus didn't do that, and he showed us not to do that. We live in a culture and a society that discourages light. And we have to be the ones that maybe we, theoretically, symbolically do something like distract ourselves by drawing in the sand, whatever it may be, changing the subject, in some cases walking away, because we're not going to get lured into the darkness. And it can happen in a variety of ways. Some people are actually into talking about other people. If it's negative, if it's positive, have at it. If it's supportive and and it raises them up, have at it. That's a beautiful thing. But we know that a large segment of the population is highly invested in talking about other people, and even lying about other people, calling them negative in some way, pointing out things that they imagine are negative or that just bring that person down, which is probably the worst thing we can do in terms of energetically and spiritually harming another person. We saw a very, very tragic story, if you do follow the news, about a 10-year-old girl who took her own life, who was autistic and being bullied. That is worst case scenario, and we need to pray for that family. We have to not participate in the darkness. We need to not bury our lights in darkness. We are already lights. See the lighthouse behind me, I always point it out. We are those lights. We are to be those lights. We are to shine our lights. And the only reason that anybody would pull us into the darkness is to show us that they can do that they can actually evoke darkness from us. Now, I am not an advocate for ignoring negative feelings. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, when harm is done, when negativity and darkness infringes upon our lives, to come to a place where we pray and we do the work that we need to do in order to, say, release that, or to just not go there in the first place. And it takes time and it takes practice with ourselves and with others. Like in the Course of Miracles, and I've spoken of this before, it says, see their innocence. And last week I spoke to how people who have been, mistreated, it helps in the healing process to look at the source of the mistreatment. Say, in other words, maybe the person who mistreated one, and look at that and say, you know what? Hurt people hurt people. What happened to them that their behavior is this heinous and this horrifying and this terrible? And I'm not saying that for anybody to condone it. I'm saying that for perspective. Sometimes it helps us to release a little bit and to let our light shine back in. That's why when I mentioned, that line, what you think of me is none of my business. That line, I think it's the title of a book, has been really helpful to a lot of people. And I know, I mentioned a while back, my friend in Nashville who passed away the sweet, gentle songwriter. His name is David. And David, it was very sad to lose David to pancreatic cancer. He was the gentlest, sweetest soul. And the thing that I just take with me to this day, and always will, is that David, and you might know somebody like a David, whenever he saw me, no matter what was going on, he always noticed, he always bore witness to the light within me. And that is a saint-like quality. And we could use a whole lot of that. And when somebody's being awful and horrible, and you know, there are a lot of people, especially in the public eye right now, public figures, that are immersed in the evil and the darkness. And I just want to encourage everyone and support everyone in not going into the darkness with them. Like Jesus and the Pharisees were, come on, come on, come on. Let's get you all riled up. Let's get you all angry. Let's get you accusing this woman. We can't enter into the vibration of hatred and vitriol and revenge and wanting to get them back, whoever it may be, because that is food for them. That is food for the darkness. So we've got to do whatever we can as spiritual grown-ups, spiritually mature and responsible humans. We have to do everything we can to almost buck our natural knee-jerk reaction, which is anger, to take some deep breaths and to say, it's actually going to be more impactful for me to just draw in the sand and not go there. Be distracted, do something else. If they're being horrible, it's not likely that you're going to change it, right? It's not likely. If someone's choosing to be evil, it's not likely that you're going to change them, because that is their choice. And we know that, you know, what we put out into the world comes back to us. We've heard many stories of people who have had near-death experiences and gone to the other side. I'm sure you've heard these stories where they have a life review and they recognize that all it really is about is how much did you stand for love? How many people have breathed easier because you have lived, like Emerson said, to have succeeded. To know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded, and this is to have loved, like Jesus taught us to love. And that is how we don't bury our light with the darkness. So important. This is such an important topic. So I would love to welcome you to further discussion about this. I know it's a tough one, but we're in a time right now, especially in these United States, that there are people who have malicious intent, who are wanting to do harm, who are working for the darkness, and it's our responsibility to not contribute to the darkness, to hold a space for light. I'm actually currently organizing a meditation that's going to be a virtual meditation with thousands and thousands of people, and I will keep you posted. Just watch the space. It's going to help. Prayer works. So we are now to our time of Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving month. And I have a quote from Martin Luther King. Life's persistent and most urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And in that spirit, I just want to say that 100% of the donations that you send to me, Venmo or PayPal, are being sent this month to the Second Harvest Food Bank of South Louisiana to support the hungry and homeless who have suffered and are still suffering from the destruction and ravages of coastal hurricanes. Venmo is at, the @ symbol, at AnnetteDion123, and for PayPal, AnnetteDion7@gmail.com. Thank you for your caring and your generosity. 100% of donations go to charity that come to Church of Spirituality until we have to pay rent somewhere. And this is a labor of love, so I just want to spread the light. Our prayer of thanksgiving, it's time for that. Dear Father, Mother, God, we give thanks this day for all of the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for guiding us through the storms and bringing us safely to the other side, where your unfailing love resides. Forgive us for those times we looked only to the darkness and to the despair, and temporarily forgot to look to you and acknowledge that you alone are the power and the truth that is guiding and giving to us at all times. Open our eyes, dear Lord, to see the good that we may have been missing. Awaken us to what we have that we can give to others, to make a difference in this world. Thank you for this bounty which we receive. Amen. Our closing hymn is from the Methodist hymnal called Pass It On in the Spirit of Giving. And then we'll do a reading from Dr. Ernest Holmes that we do weekly, and we'll close it. And I want to tell everyone that Thanksgiving week, I am planning to do either a Thanksgiving Eve or a Thanksgiving Day service, so look for that on YouTube. That's next week, the week after next. Yeah, the year has gone really fast, and the month has gone really fast. So we will do a Thanksgiving service, so stay tuned for that. And once again, if you have any questions or anything you'd like to ask me through email, you know my email address, I keep saying it. Pass it on. It only takes a spark to get a fire going. Soon all those around will warm up in its glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you spread his love to everyone. You want to pass it on. Oh, I wish for you, my friend, this happiness that I have found. You can depend on him. It matters not where you're bound. I shouted from the mountaintop. I want my world to know the Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on. The Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on. I want to pass it on. This week, may I suggest that you make someone's day. Pass it on. Make someone's day. Please have a beautiful week. Let's go to Ernest Holmes. The Science of Mind, not to be confused with Scientology, is a lot of sort of the foundation of Church of Spirituality. And this is from The Science of Mind. I highly recommend that book. I always have to say it's not to be confused with Scientology. It's so polar opposite. Highly recommend anything by Ernest Holmes. And I will be giving you more suggested reading. Like today, we read from Eric Butterworth, and Emmett Fox is going to be next. So stay tuned. Watch this space. Take a breath. Through the long night watches, God's hand clasps ours. At the break of dawn, God's hand clasps ours. In the daytime of work and endeavor, from eternity to eternity, God's hand clasps ours. when time shall have passed, when eternity shall be strewn about like falling petals, and space and world shall be swallowed up in everlasting blessedness. God's hand shall clasp ours, and so it is. Please consider joining our prayer meeting every Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Please consider emailing me, and if you need any spiritual guidance or help, I'll tell you what's available. And go in peace, be peace, and pray for peace. I really appreciate you taking this time out for spiritual inspiration. And please share, please subscribe if you like. And thank you for joining us. Go in peace, be peace, and pray for peace. Namaste.